What if I told you that one of the most powerful and feared men in the world, a man who built a billion-dollar drug empire, a man who terrorized an entire nation, started life as a poor farmer in rural Mexico? This is the story of how a small-town boy became Mexico's most wanted cartel boss, and how his reign finally came to an end. This is the rise and fall of El Mencho. Before the world knew him as El Mencho, a name that would become synonymous with unimaginable power and brutality, he was just a boy. His real name was Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes. He was born in 1966 into a world of hardship in a small, isolated farming community in the Mexican state of Jalisco. This was a region of stark contrasts, breathtakingly beautiful, yet unforgivingly poor. His family was one of 6, and they were poor. Not just by modern standards, but destitute. Survival was a daily struggle, a relentless grind against the earth for the barest of essentials. To help his family, young Nemesio dropped out of primary school. His classroom became the vast avocado fields, where he worked from dawn until dusk. It was a life devoid of luxury, power, or influence. A life where the future seemed as predetermined and barren as the dry soil under his feet. So, like countless others from rural Mexico, he looked north. At 19, he crossed illegally into the United States, chasing the elusive promise of the American dream. He landed in California, hoping to trade the fields of Jalisco for a new beginning. But the dream quickly soured. Instead of finding legitimate opportunity, he found the city's dark underbelly. He found crime. In the late 1980s, Nemesio and his brother Abraham were arrested in San Francisco. The charge: conspiracy to distribute heroin. After serving time in a federal prison, he was deported back to Mexico. He returned not as a success story, but as a convicted felon with a new, dangerous education in the world of narcotics. That deportation would change everything. When he returned to Mexico, he didn't go back to farming. Instead, he entered the underworld. He first worked with members connected to the powerful Milenio Cartel. Over time, he gained trust by being disciplined, quiet, and extremely ruthless when necessary. Unlike flashy cartel bosses who loved attention, El Mencho preferred the shadows. He didn't give interviews. He didn't show off wealth publicly. He rarely appeared in photos. But behind the scenes, he was building something massive. The year is 2010. Mexico's criminal underworld is in turmoil. The old guard, powerful cartels that had dominated for decades, were fracturing under the weight of internal power struggles and government pressure. In this chaotic landscape, a power vacuum emerged, and El Mencho, a man with ambition and a deep understanding of the trade, saw his moment. He didn't start from scratch. Initially, his group operated as an armed wing for the Sinaloa cartel, calling themselves Los Matazetas, the Zeta Killers, formed to combat their brutal rivals. But Mencho's vision was far grander than being a subsidiary. He broke away, founding what would become one of the most violent and fastest-growing criminal empires in modern history, the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, or Cjng. This wasn't just another drug gang fighting for turf. It was a new kind of criminal enterprise. Under El Mencho's command, Cjng evolved into a sophisticated, paramilitary-style organization, complete with a clear hierarchy and brutal discipline. They recruited heavily, equipping their fighters with military-grade weapons, from assault rifles to rocket-propelled grenades. They built their own armored vehicles, known as monstruos or monsters, capable of withstanding heavy fire. Their logistics network was ruthlessly efficient, establishing international drug routes that spanned the globe, reaching markets not only in the United States, but also in Europe and Asia. They specialized in the production and trafficking of high-profit synthetic drugs, like methamphetamine and, most devastatingly, fentanyl. Within just a few years, Cjng's influence spread like a virus across Mexico, seizing control in key states from coast to coast. They didn't just compete with rival cartels for territory. They declared all-out war, not only on their rivals, but on the Mexican state itself. As the Cjng carved out its territory, El Mencho's leadership style became brutally clear. It was a doctrine built on 2 unwavering pillars. First, absolute loyalty. He structured the cartel like a paramilitary force, demanding unwavering allegiance. Disloyalty wasn't just punished, it was eradicated in the most public and terrifying ways imaginable, a clear warning to anyone else considering betrayal. The second pillar was extreme, strategic violence. Cjng became infamous for its brutal tactics, turning violence into a form of psychological warfare. They engaged in large-scale attacks on security forces and waged merciless turf wars against rivals like the Sinaloa Cartel and Los Zetas. This wasn't just about eliminating enemies, it was about broadcasting their power and instilling fear across the nation. In May 2015, the world watched in shock. During a government offensive in Jalisco called Operation Jalisco, Cjng fighters used a rocket-propelled grenade to shoot down a Mexican military helicopter. The brazen attack sent a chilling message to the Mexican state and the world. This was no ordinary criminal gang. This was an insurgency. In response, the U.S. government officially designated the Cjng as a transnational criminal organization, labeling Mencho one of the most dangerous drug traffickers on the planet. The DEA placed a $10 million reward for information leading to his capture, one of the largest bounties ever offered. Yet for years, surrounded by a fortress of loyal sicarios and corrupt officials, he remained a ghost, completely untouchable. As his power grew, so did the mystery. Very few confirmed images of him existed. He avoided public exposure. He reportedly moved constantly. He trusted almost no one. Some reports claimed he suffered from kidney problems. Others said he was paranoid and obsessed with security. But whether sick or not, his organization kept expanding. At its peak, Cjng was considered one of the strongest criminal organizations in the Western Hemisphere. And Mencho became a symbol of modern cartel power. No empire lasts forever. Mexican authorities, backed by U.S. intelligence, intensified operations against Cjng. Financial networks were targeted, key lieutenants were arrested, territory battles increased, pressure mounted, and eventually a large-scale security operation was launched in his home territory. After years of evading capture, his reign ended during a military confrontation. His death marked one of the biggest blows to organized crime leadership in recent Mexican history. But here's the real question. Did his death end the cartel? Not exactly. When leaders fall in the cartel world, power struggles begin. Violence can increase. Splinter groups emerge. While Mencho's personal story ended, the organization he built didn't disappear overnight. His rise shows how poverty, opportunity, crime networks, and power can combine into something extremely dangerous. His fall shows that no matter how powerful someone becomes, they are never completely untouchable. From a poor farm boy in Jalisco to one of the most feared drug lords in the world, Mencho's story is a reminder of how quickly power can grow in the shadows and how violently it can collapse. If you found this story shocking, make sure to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the world's most powerful and mysterious figures.